Hey guys, and welcome back to Married at First Sight Australia. And guys, it's feedback week. Feedback week is where things get utterly, brutally devastating. And I'm excited to get into it all. There's lots and lots of twists and turns. A lot of people holding other people accountable for their actions, their words, their actions. I've already said that. So yeah, we are going to have a fantastic time today. But before we do, just your casual reminder to make sure you are subscribing if you aren't already. We are on our way to 900 subscribers. We are very, very close. We are 30 subscribers away, which I know sounds like a lot, but it isn't in the grand scheme of things. So let's get us there and let's get into the video, shall we? Let's start with the whole Tim and Sarah debacle. In the previous episode, in previous two episodes, she was exposed for cheating, she was called out on the couch with the experts, and now it's time to put her apologies into effect. Tim has taken the time to basically write down his feelings, write down bullet points, basically go over everything that he could possibly want to say about it and say it to her. And the first thing she did was cut him off. Oh, it was tough to watch. It was really tough to watch because I thought, actually, this man has put a lot of time and effort into this and you're not even willing to hear him out. He said it was 3 pages long and she acted as if that was like a whole novel. I just feel like, I don't know, she's not giving me sincere vibes at the moment. However, she did sit there and she listened to the whole thing. She asked to see it, read it through again, and then she accepted the criticism and she was like, I'm really, really sorry. They had a really cute hug. And it seems like there is a path back from this. It's not the end of the road. It seems like there is a navigational path back to this, which is really, really good. And I'm very happy for them. Then the show decided to throw a spanner in the works because obviously it's feedback week. People gave them feedback, and the couple that they decided to give them feedback was Jaden and Eden. Yeah, this was not the best plan personally. I felt like Jaden came across quite nasty, I think is the word I would use in this whole segment. It really does feel like he was just wanting to dig her a deeper ditch to die in, and it didn't really feel like he was trying to help Tim. It really just felt like he was there to attack Sarah. There were some questions that he was asking that I was like, okay, I can understand why you've asked them, but the way you're pressuring her to give an answer and getting her to say the words that you want her to say, it's like it did come across a little bit malicious, and I didn't necessarily appreciate that. There was a question about, oh, have you been messaging him in the last couple of weeks? Are the messages still on your phone? Yes or no? If they're not, why aren't they on your phone? Did you delete them? If they are, let him see them. And it was kind of like, this just feels like a bit of an attack when it doesn't need to be an attack. Yes, what she did was wrong, but how is she meant to grow and move past that if you're constantly holding it over her head and beating her with it until she's got nothing left to give? I feel like I've done a massive 180 from how I felt in the previous episodes. I did really feel like a lot of there were a lot of eyes on her, which I think caused her to get her back up. But when she was alone with Tim, it really felt like those walls came down and she was able to really get into the root of exactly what was happening. And I think I appreciated that. But having Jaden come in and be like, yo, this is not on. You're a horrible person. You're this, you're that. It was kind of just a bit demoralizing, defeating, and I think it kind of put a dampener on the whole mood. It kind of ruined the whole vibe that they'd just started to get back. And she ended up sort of like storming out and basically being like, I don't understand how we're meant to move on from this and how I'm meant to prove how sorry I am and how I'm going to change and things like that. I don't get how I'm meant to do all of that if people keep on bringing it up and beating it over my head. Like, I made a mistake, I admit that. Now let me move on from it and learn from it rather than keep holding me accountable for it. It's kind of like the issue with the whole Jack situation is it doesn't feel like he's taking genuine accountability for it. But with this, I feel like Sarah's trying her best to to do something. And so I am going to give her a bit of a green flag for this episode. I think she's been on a red flag for the last couple, but this green flag is tentative based on what I've seen from this episode. Sarah is not the same Sarah that we saw coming into this experiment. She realizes she's in the wrong. She's heard Tim out, and now she's willing on growing and changing in order to be a better wife for him. And I think that's admirable, personally. I think it takes a lot of balls in order to admit when you're wrong, and it might have taken her a hot second, but I think now that she understands where Tim's coming from, it's definitely become more of a urgent situation for her to rectify. So an interesting little segment was when Lauren and Jonathan had to go and ask Jack and Tori questions. Again, I feel like the producers did this on purpose. There's no way that this randomly just happened. They were randomly chosen to give feedback to each other. But I gotta say, they did actually ask some interesting questions. Obviously, Lauren started off by like joking to Jonathan that they should ask them questions like, why are your pants so small? Why haven't you done this? Like, just being stupid. Why are you so purple? Like, things like that. It's just quite funny, entertaining, lighthearted. But when they actually got in there, the questions themselves were actually very, very good. They asked, what's taken so long with the whole sex thing? And I feel like he was given a very diplomatic answer. It's very clear that she's got that spark there, and he's trying to grow a spark, but I don't feel like you can grow a sexual spark with someone. Maybe that's just me, but when you look at someone, you either want to sleep with them or you don't want to sleep with them. It's not quite as simple as like, oh yeah, we'll just grow that sexual spark. Like, unless you're willing to try stuff and see whether that spark's there, it's not just going to grow by you hanging out and having fun. Do you know what I mean? At that point, you're just friends. Then he was asked, oh, no. He wasn't asked. She was asked. Tori was asked, do you think Jack will be a good role model for your children? And what did he do? Immediately started giving an answer for her, and I thought that was very, very telling. It was very interesting to see him do that, because I just thought this guy has no self-awareness for how he comes across. Like, absolutely none. Because I've asked Tori a question, but Jack is answering. That's not okay. And then, obviously, they were talking about how important it is for them to have kids. Jack wants to have kids in 2 years. And Tori was like, huh? Two, we ain't even had sex yet, and you want to have kids in 2 years? That's a bit fast. That's a little bit fast. And even Lauren was like, guys, you need to have sex to have kids. Oh, this relationship just confuses me. Like, I don't get what's going on with it. What's happening here? I'm sorry, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, let's move on. So, Andrea and Richard gave Lucinda and Timothy a task, and Lucinda and Timothy gave Andrea and Richard a task. And I actually thought that their tasks were quite good and well matched. Andrea and Richard gave Lucinda and Timothy the task of sleeping together. Not in that way, you cheeky naughty bastards, but just sleeping in the same bed. Which I didn't realise they hadn't been doing this entire time, but apparently he's been sleeping in like the spare room in his little man cave, and they decided to give it a go. And Timothy's very much the same kind of person that I am, in the fact that, like, I really struggle to fall asleep when I'm not on my own. Like, it can sometimes, like, unless I'm super comfortable with the person, I can struggle to get to sleep. But it seems like he really did have a good night's sleep. He came out of it and he was like, actually, that was nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. I actually kind of enjoyed it. And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take down the man cave. And I was so proud of him, because this is big, big improvement. I feel like even if they don't work out, the journey that they've been on is absolutely phenomenal. And even, like I said, I've been saying this literally since the first week. Even if they don't work out as a relationship, they are going to be the best of friends. They are going to have a bond that no one else is going to have. And I think that's so beautiful and so magical. And I kind of do like that a little bit. So yeah, it is actually really cute. Those two are lovely. On the other hand, Andrea and Richard were given the task of renewing their vows. Andrea and Richard are in a little bit of a sticky situation. I'll get into that in a little bit, But the renewing of the vows was actually really cute, and it was a lovely, beautiful moment. The issue came was when Andrea sat down with Ridge, because obviously they had like one-on-one conversations. I'll get into some of the other ones a little bit later. But her one-on-one conversation with Ridge basically involved him basically bashing her relationship, but not just bashing her, but bashing Richard the majority of the time. And it did come across as a little mean-spirited, but I don't know whether it was meant mean-spirited or whether it just came across that way, but it did get my back up a little bit, just because I thought everything that you're saying is feeding into her insecurities, and the way you're like, oh, when he said this, I was not happy about this, and when he said this, I can't imagine you'd have been happy about that. And I was just sitting there like, it's not helping her, because then she's come out of that conversation going, actually, now I'm back to square one again. I don't really trust this guy. And Richard's obviously like, Andrea, like, because obviously Andrea's brought it up, and I've got to admit, and you guys can disagree with me on this, I will fully accept that, but I 100% agree with Richard on this situation. I firmly agree with him on this situation. The whole sex conversation that was aired in laundry and public, whatever, that was week 3, I think it is. They're now on week 7, 8, okay? It's been over a month since that happened, and he has apologised profusely, and he, as far as we know, has not done it again. Then she says something along the lines of like, oh, but you did say this one thing at the couples retreat. And he was like, what did I say? And she's like, I can't remember. Or when was it at the couples retreat? Oh, I can't remember that either. So what do you mean you remember me saying something, but you can't remember what I said or how it upset you or what, all of these? Like, you're missing all of the facts that allow you to hold this over me. And I did agree with him. I was actually like, hang on a minute. She's just bringing something up that she says happened, but she can't remember what it was, when it happened, and why it hurt her. She just remembers it hurts her. It hurt her. And I don't even remember seeing Andrew and Richard at the couples retreat. I thought he was ill. I thought that's why they missed it. But even then, I was sort of like, hang on a minute. I just don't understand how you can. I don't understand it. Do you know what I mean? And then she's also still using this, oh, but you also, like, back on the couch. Like, you can't keep bringing up stuff over and over again. He's apologised for it. You've agreed to move on. So why are you bringing it up again? It does feel like you're just finding faults and problems that, I don't know, it just feels like you're just looking for any way to beat something over the head with him. And it is coming across a little bit malicious. I don't think it is meant like that way. I think she's genuinely deeply upset and hurt. But also, how do you move past this? If you can't move past it, go home. Because if it's not working, it's just giving me red flags from you at the moment, Andrea. I'm really sorry. And I have to have Richard's back, because I was watching it and I actually did agree with him. When you couldn't come up with the specifics of what actually he did to actually upset you, it made me feel like it didn't happen. Even if it did, give me some specifics, because I can't just take your word for it. This was the same thing with Ben and Ellie, when I was like, I don't know what's going on here, because all I'm hearing is Ellie's version of events, Ben's version of events, and they're not lining up. So what's going on here? That's how I feel about the situation. And it always seems to be the stuff that doesn't make it to air that causes the most problems in the couples. So I'm gonna get into some of the other conversations that happened between the couples. I think Jade went on a lunch with Jack, Tori went on a lunch with Jaden, and basically I just felt this whole thing was gonna end really, really poorly. Jaden, I don't know what's given him this superiority complex. Maybe it's the fact that he's doing well with Eden, or the fact that he believes he's one of the stronger couples, which, like, I'd agree with him. But he seems to have this superiority complex, which is starting to really bug me. I saw it with the whole Sarah and Tim debacle, and I'm seeing it now with, like, the way he's talking to Tori, and he's like, let me tell you about your relationship. And she's like, wow, okay, here we go. Like, wow. And it's just, he was basically calling bullshit on the relationship. And I was like, everything you're saying, I agree with. But the way you're saying it is coming across smug and a little bit nasty. And I just don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate smug nastiness. It's just not okay at the end of the day. So I think it's a little bit of an issue for me because I didn't vibe with that whole dynamic. But then obviously Jack went on a lunch date with Jade, and Jade basically was doing the same thing that Jaden was doing, but in a more playful way, so that it wasn't coming across as nasty and as harsh. She was being like, "Oh, why have you guys not had sex? Like, what's stopping you?" Like, I feel like if I was in bed and I was wearing nothing, because like Tori says she sleeps naked, or she sleeps with barely anything on. If I got into bed with my partner and I was wearing nothing and they didn't even make a move, I'd have been out of there so quickly. And I was like, actually, that's a very, very good point. I don't feel like there is an attraction there. Until they have sex, I do not believe that he has an attraction to her. And even then, I don't even know if I'll believe it, because I don't know. I just can't understand what he doesn't find attractive about her, because she is a very attractive person. The thing I'm finding difficult to like about her is her personality and the way she handles confrontation. That's the thing I'm struggling with. She's a beautiful woman. That's not the bit that's struggling. But anyway, let's move on. So, after Jade and Ridge basically told Lucinda and Timothy that Jack basically called them fake and said they have a fake relationship, Lucinda and Timothy decided to start up a new company called the Bullshit Investigators. And I have never had so much joy in my life than watching Lucinda and Timothy giggle as they write a bullshit calling out letter and send it to Jack and Tori. They didn't even write it out, they typed it out so it was anonymous. And then they posted it under the door, and it was basically calling them out on all of their bullshit. It was so good. I loved every single second of it. It was absolutely fantastic. What do you mean the bullshit investigators are here to call you out? Guys, this is absolutely fantastic, because when I tell you, Tori was getting so riled up. She was like, I'm so angry right now. I'm fuming. And I think this dinner party is going to be absolutely spectacular. This dinner party, because obviously they're going to find out that it was Lucinda and Timothy, and they are going to be seething. They're going to be frothing at the mouth like they've got rabies. It's going to be fantastic, and I cannot wait. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That is pretty much it for this episode. Well, these episodes. Feedback week is over. We have only got about 10 episodes of the show left, which means probably about 7, 8 on this. But I'm very excited. I think there's some good stuff to come. There'll be some very interesting things. We're fast on our way to Final Vows, and then the reunion after the show's done was apparently very explosive, so you guys have got to stick around for that. But until then, thank you guys very, very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure to keep on ranting. I will see you guys later. Bye now.